So in 2010, LeBron James started the super team era when he took his talents to South Beach and joining Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, correct? Please stop that narrative. It's literally laughable. I simply can't say it with a straight face. If you are in this class of delusion who thinks LeBron James started the super team era, please tune in because I'm about to educate you and you're about to learn a lot. So again, I highly recommend you tune in and listen carefully. Before I get into anything, let me define what a super team is. A super team consists of having a top 5 player paired with another top 5 player or even a top 10 player. Because we know in the sport of basketball how much one player can impact the game. And a superstar paired with another co-star, having his Rodman, you are instantly powerhouses in the NBA and immediately top 3 to top 5 title favorites to win the title. So, but some may say, well, LeBron James paired with had three All-Stars with him, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. This is totally preference-based, but I'd much rather build my team in terms of building my team within the salary cap, having my 2 superstars with better role players and a deeper bench versus having 3 stars with the rest of the roster on veteran minimum contracts. I believe you'll get more out of that roster, get more out of your stars and your role players with only having 2 versus having 3. I just feel like the third star is going to get thrown under the rug. The production is going to be a lot less. I just simply don't like it for a lot of reasons. I'll explain that another day. But let's just talk about other super teams that's happened in the past, but the media has created the word super team in 2010 because we only like to knock LeBron James. So please just get your LeBron hate earlobes off and just listen and try to be objective for once. The 1980s Showtime Lakers featured 2 of the top 5 greatest players of all time, not just in the game currently at that time, of all time. Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are consensus top 5 players in the history of basketball. So what is that called? Can you tell me? Oh, by the way, they were also paired with James Worthy, which is another Hall of Famer and a Finals MVP. So they had 3 stars on that team. And before you come at me and say, well, James Worthy averaged 17.5 points. Yes, because you're the third fiddle on that team. Obviously, your numbers are going to drop, like I explained before. So he's a great third fiddle and a great role player on that team. Let's talk about the Celtics, who the only other team in the 80s who gave the Lakers competition. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parish. Just 3 stars on one team. Please tell me what that's called. Thank you. It's called the super team. Let's go to the 90s. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant for their first three-peat. And I know Horace Grant wasn't an all-star. He made his first all-star team in the 93-94 season when Jordan retired, as well as B.J. Armstrong. That Bulls team was loaded top to bottom. And what was the difference with that Bulls team is Jordan, Pippen, all the way down, they were elite defenders. That's why they were so successful on top of Jordan's greatness. The second three-peat, Jordan, Pippen, coach Rodman. Again, Jordan obviously doing his thing, Scottie Pippen, his Rodman, all the way down top to bottom, elite defenders. Now let's go to the 2000s. In terms of peak, I believe this is the best duo of all time. In terms of for one season, I would take this duo over any other duo. Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. They were 2 of the top 3 greatest players in the game at that time. When you pair 2 superstars, 2 studs like that on one team, you were instant title contenders, and you could see the dominance that the Lakers had for 3 straight years running their offense through Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. The San Antonio Spurs paired with Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. That's 3 stars. And again, what ultimately led LeBron James to taking his talents to South Beach were the 2007-2008 Boston Celtics, having 3 stars in that team with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. They were all 22 or higher plus point per game scorers before they all paired up together. So please, what is that called? There was 3 stars, 3 superstars. So please explain to me, what are they called? I get the media just started calling teams a super team when LeBron James did it, because we got to do whatever it takes to diminish LeBron James' greatness, because that's the narrative in today's NBA. And some may say, well, LeBron James started via free agency. That's fair, but at the end of the day, why does it matter if you did it through the draft, getting multiple stars? That's, I guess, the best way. That's the most respectful way, is doing it through the draft, whether it's via trade like the 2007-2008 Boston Celtics, or doing a free agency. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, all these teams created the same thing, which is a super team, having multiple superstars, having multiple all-stars on the same roster. So at the end of the day, they all created the same thing. They just did it differently. So if we're gonna go into context, there has been multiple super teams as I just listed before. So please, if you could call them anything other than a super team, please let me know. I'd love to know, because having 2 superstars or 3 all-stars on one roster is a super team. The Miami Heat just did it differently with LeBron James and Chris Bosh joining Dwayne Wade in South Beach via free agency. But at the end of the day, they all did the same thing. So again, if you disagree with me, please let me know in the comment section below. I know a lot of you LeBron haters will absolutely bash me for it, which is what you usually do, because you cannot just appreciate the man's greatness. You got to diminish him every way possible, correct? That's all you really got at this point, instead of accepting his greatness. And other players have done what he's done in terms of creating a super team. They just did it a different way, so the media doesn't call it a super team. Again, I proved you wrong, but please feel free to give me your rebuttal. You're already wrong, so shoot your shot.